Hello, it's John, Vintage Fisherman. Today, I got this really pretty old 402. It's been sitting on my shelf for months now. So let's tear it down. I'm still fighting the cold, so nothing much else to do but to work on some reels here. This reel doesn't look like it's been used very much. Look at that. Well, that won't get put in the parts washer, I can tell you that. Let's see what the drag looks like. These have a really complex drag on them. Take this bolt loose, or screw. You gotta be careful not to butterfly it, because it's an odd shape, let me tell you. I probably could have got away and not even took this apart, but I always like to see how these are made. So you got this spring washer, and this eared washer comes off. Okay. And then there's a spring underneath there. And then you can take the hub off, and all this stuff here comes out the top. And this reel has never been used. And if I told y'all what I paid for it at auction, you would say you're a liar. I'm just telling you, it's pretty remarkable. So we'll set the spool is not going to get washed, okay? It's too new, it's too perfect. These drag washers will get wiped down and put right back in. So will the spool. But you got a Teflon washer. We're going to have to spread this all the way out. There's a lot to this. Then you got, and it's eared. You got an eared washer. And then you've got copper washer, and that's a keyed washer. Then you got an eared washer, then you got another keyed washer, and this keyed washer has, I think that's one piece. No, yep, that's one piece. Then you got that goes, it's got that hook in it. That's your line out clicker right there, and it goes down against that plate. And then this goes up towards the spring, and this goes on top of that. I believe that's correct. I can look it up. I've got a schematic on this reel, so okay, that's all good. The only thing that was broken on this reel was the cover, the oil port, or grease port, or whatever you want to call it. I had one, so no big deal, and we're going to be real careful with that and pull that out. Okay, you can see all the grease up in there. It's probably the original grease. We'll take the 4 screws out of the cover over here. On this cover, on this bottom, I always take this one off first, is, I believe this is the trip for the bail trip. Okay, and it comes out sometimes with a little bit of a aggravation, but it will come out. I know it'll come out once I take the whole cover off. So let's take the whole cover off. 4 screws. This is a saltwater edition reel. This one will probably go on my shelf and replace one that I already have because it's in better shape. Although I'm noticing it's a little bent on this cover. That's kind of odd. So, you know, other than that, the reel's perfect. So I'm not sure what happened there. Somebody decided they were going to try to take that apart, I reckon, and didn't know what they were doing. So that comes off. big clumps of the original grease. Okay, wow. I even hate to take that grease out of there. It's in such good shape, but all right. So now that striker comes off, and see it now. There's nothing there. Well, I guess it is, but no. Anyway, we'll figure that out when we get to it. The next thing I want to do is I need to take all that grease out of there. As much as I hate to do it, it's the original grease. It's got to go. Because it's going to be in my way taking this thing apart. And I want to see what I got. Could I put it back in there? Maybe. But it's pretty congealed. It's like, you know, it's not like it was just shot in there the other day. It's pretty clumpy. And probably not the best thing in the world for the actual reel. Now this reel has, on this shaft, it's got 2 snap rings. And you have to take this rear pin out. So we'll do that first. It's a screw that's also a pin. Can't stress enough to match your screwdriver slot size to the screw slot size, okay? That will go right there. Now you see you can slide this on back. We'll take that out later, so you can slide that back. Now, tricky, a little bit tricky. That snap ring is a little bit hard to get off. And I normally take this tool and this my little pick that I've made out of an eyeglass screwdriver, and I get one on one side of it and one on the other, and I pop it down and around and hope it doesn't fly. There's enough grease on here. Normally, when they're that covered in grease, they come out just like that. Now there's one on the front. So it won't come out of the reel until you get both of them out, okay? And let's see what I can do with it here. There it goes. Now I just gotta get my pick up under it. I hope y'all can see this, and I don't have any way to, I don't want to let it get away from me. There's the second one. So there's one on each side of that cross wind block, okay? Then you can pull the axle shaft out. Looks like the axle shaft out of a freaking Toyota pickup truck or something. Then this comes off. That's your cross wind block. Pretty covered in stuff there. You've got your planetary set in here. The inner comes out. We can't get the outer out until we flip it around. So, with that said, flip this to take the anti-reverse off. This has to come off of there, and we're going to put this small, oh, I did that wrong, didn't I? Hang on just a second. I need to use this really thin screwdriver bit, which I have actually filed down smaller, to get these small cover screws out off these Garcia Mitchells. I've got a set of snap-on screwdrivers there off the snap-on truck, and they aren't really small enough. They're close, but this Harbor Freight, of all things, made in Taiwan, precision screwdriver set is the closest I've found that works perfectly. I'm sure Snap-on has something like that. I haven't looked in their catalog. And I'm fine with the Harbor Freight screws, so we're not even going to bother. I'm good with the Harbor Freights. They've been working really, really well for me. So get the Harbor Freight in our, so I'm going to use the Harbor Freight screwdriver to get these cover. These are countersunk sunk screws. The screws on the other side are button heads. These are countersunk. Don't get them mixed up. You can't. They're not going to work right. I'm just telling you. But I guess you could. Probably same thread, but it's not going to look right. So don't lose them. Good luck finding these screws on these older reels. You can't go to a hardware store and buy this stuff. Here, it's not going to find it. Okay. All right, now we've got, there's the gear side. Here is your planetary, and that's very odd. That's broken. That reel, this reel is broken. We'll have to find another planetary for it. So this reel will probably go, look here. I may have one. No, because it's going to be a different gear ratio. I got a 302. Well, it might work. I'll have to look it up, but see how that's broken? So this reel's not fixable right now. Hey, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some at these auction reels, you know. Not sure how that ever got broke, but it's definitely broke. So I will have to go on the search. This reel will be put into a box after it's cleaned up and go up on the shelf, and I will be back with it after I find the parts. I believe that's a 14 millimeter. I could be wrong. Let's see. Yes. And that should be standard rotation. Yeah. Well, that's a real bummer because it's a beautiful reel, but it happens. Okay, so that rotor comes off, and you got this dust shield, saltwater shield, whatever. It's just a plastic shield down in there. Don't forget that. Couple of tips here. There is a little bitty key that has to come out, and if you lose this, I've paid as much as $10 for one of these daggum keys. I'm telling you, you will not be happy with life if you lose this little key. That's what it looks like right there. Don't lose it. Now, to get your bearing out, we're going to go to an even smaller screwdriver, believe it or not. There's 2 set screws. One on each side. Don't lose them. Never seen these things anywhere in any store. See them right there? There's one on this side, one on that side. Look exactly alike. One is longer than the other. They go through there. They got little pokers on them, and they excuse me, they keep that bearing from falling out. That's your only bearing in the whole reel. There is the housing ready to be cleaned up. Here's your bearing. The bearing is good. There's your pinion gear, just dirty. Now, let's get this big clump of grease off of this cover, okay? And we're going to throw this away because I don't think there's any more grease. I'll leave it right here just in case. And then we got this will come out, the main gear. Get that. I don't normally take this apart. I always put this in the non-anti-reverse setting. See? Put it like that. So when you go to put it back together, it just pops right in. So we're good there. We're good there. I'm not sure how that got bent. I might be able to straighten that. Here we'll do this reel, or this rotor. This one, damn, it ain't in bad shape. Let's see if I can make it fire. My fingers. It's got to go like, oh, I can't make it fire, but it looks like it's in pretty good shape. Still got the bumper on it. Decisions. Well, I need to fire it. So let's see what we do here. There we go. So it's fired. It fired off pretty good. I don't think that bit there will fit that. Yeah, it will. Okay. All right. I've got the right bit for it. So let's dive in. Still fighting the cold. Actually, I just did finish my last video and started on this one. Still sick. So that gets unthreaded. It's got a special bit. And this is a Craftsman bit set. You can find these, different brands. Not the end of the world. Once you get it up to a certain point, you can use a regular screwdriver in it to get that nut out. And there's that. It really stinks that and there's a keeper goes in there too, by the way. It really stinks that planetary is broken, but I'll think about a way I can fix that. I'm not sure at this point in time how I will. Take this screw out and then your wire falls out, but you can just leave this screw out. So there's the bale wire. There's pieces of the bale wire. Yep. You still have your bale return spring in here. Had to think about it for a second. I'm not going to take this out. There's no point. Let's see if I can get this off. Yeah, there we go. It came loose pretty easy. These can be a real bear to reset. Just not going to lie to you. If yours is in good shape, leave it alone. These screws look the same. One of them's got a shoulder on it. That's how you know where it goes. And to reset it, you'll go, yeah, it's going to be a pain, but that's okay. It's a really stiff spring. There you go. That's the whole reel. I didn't see any washers in there, so we're good there. So I'll look for that planetary for a 402. I got to find the number, the part number for it, and I will order that part. And we will come back to this one someday on down the road. Hopefully before I start moving. Be back. Well, welcome back. I've got this nice old 402 Mitchell cleaned up. It had a couple problems with it. One, this cover was bent. Somebody had tried to pry it off or something. I don't know. I was able to straighten that out. I looked for another one. I found a couple, but they weren't quite as good shape actually as this one was. So I decided to stick with this one. You'll remember in the first half of this video, this, I guess you would call this the orbital gear for the oscillation of the spool. This works like a planetary, or kind of like a planetary. That's the mechanic in me coming out there, but we call them planetaries and front axles and stuff, or drive axles. But the pin was missing or broken, actually sheared off in this original housing, and I have a feeling that's why this reel didn't have much use to it. With that piece being sheared off, the reel did not actuate properly, and somebody probably gave up on it and put it away before it got too much salt all over. So got that fixed up. I pulled the schematics offline, so I've got the drag system lined up here. We will get that all took care of as we go along here. Let's see, where do I even start out with this one? I guess we'll start out with the bell where I usually start out at. I know setting this bell spring is going to be a bear. I'm just telling you. It's not going to be simple. So, with that said, I'm still battling a cold. I thought it was allergies. It turns out it's something else. My doctor can't see me this week, so I'm either gonna have to survive it or die from it, one or the other. All right, this will go. The short piece of the wire will always go down. Okay, and then you got to play this game with this thing. You gotta get it over there like that. Okay, that rubber piece will go against that stop, and you're gonna put the shouldered screw in. This might be the hardest thing to do to this reel, to be honest with you. I hope I don't eat those words. And it should lock, and then when it comes around and hits the bell trip, there you go, it fires around. So we got that in there, right? Okay. This came apart on me, but I think it's pretty simple how it goes back together. Yep, it goes like that. And your roller will go on there like that. We'll just get a little bit of oil on there. Like I said, this fell apart when I was taking it apart. We'll come back to this other side in a minute. It's a little bent. If you look at it, and this is the time to fix these things. Let me go ahead and tighten, or at least get this side started. Go something like that. You got like a little washer with a bent piece on it that goes on there first. That's a lock to hold this nut. This is a special nut. It's got a slot in it. It's going to fight me just a little bit. Let me get this going here. You can start this nut with a regular screwdriver. Once you get it down to a certain point, and look, see, the reason why they got that lock on there, they don't want you to tighten that screw down all the way, because then your roller's not going to roll, okay? So you got to make a decision at this point where you want that roller, how much tension you want on that roller. And so I'm going to say it's going to be about right there. And I will, that seems a little loose. Yeah, that seems just a little loose. Let me go one more. You got to get the flat of the screw and then take you a pair of pliers or something. Now, I may be better off to hit it with the hammer here, but you'll have to bend that little tab over. I really can't show you that very well on camera, but you see this. Let me find something to poke at it with. This little tab, it's bent up right here to 90. You got to flatten it out against one of the flats on the nut so the nut won't come loose. You don't want any loose nuts around here. this thing. But you don't want to over tighten that because your roller won't roll. Does that make any sense? So what I did, I used a Delron punch, and I got that took care of. Now you see how this is all out of line. That should be wanting to fall right into that hole right there. You don't want it to like be squeezed down tight against the rotor, but you don't want it out here where it's at. So we're going to have to do a little bending. It's going to have to bend this way, and then this way, and then back this way. And then let's give it just a little bit like this. This is an art. I ain't gonna lie, I've been doing this for a long time. You'll get a feel for it after you bend a few of them. You don't want to break a few of them, but you'll get art. You'll get a feel for the art of it. A little bit of grease down in that screw hole. Get the block out of the way there. And here's the final part of the rotor. Now it should fire pretty smooth. You lock it over to pull your line off. Lock it over there, you pull your line off. And I'm going to probably fire it against my own fingers here, but if you pull the trip down here at the bottom, there he goes. Fires off pretty good. So pretty happy with that. We'll call that built right there. All right. What's next? One thing I didn't take out of the housing, I've just learned to leave it in there. This guide right here, that's your rotor shaft, axle shaft they call it, rides back and forth. It goes in here and it's got a shim under it, and that shim goes to the upper side of the housing, up towards the rod, okay? And you want to put that shim back in there, because if you don't, it's not going to fit tight. I usually just leave them in and wash them. Okay. So, all right. I think the pinion should go in next. Let's build the pinion on it. Here's your pinion. The bearing. You got shielded side to the bearing. I need to clean that better. I didn't do a very good job on that. That thing is so clear it disappears on the workbench here. The bearing's in great shape. It's a small bearing for this size reel, but you know, we'll leave it to the French engineers. They know what they're doing. I've oiled the bearing. I'm going to take that clear shield. I don't know if y'all can see that. It goes on this side of the bearing, and it'll go out towards the rotor. Okay. So that little clear shield, and I've oiled the bearing, will go out towards the rotor. I apologize if I cough, folks. Like I said, I'm fighting a cold. Let me just go ahead and just do what I can with this thing without. Yeah, it's got to go in there further. I'm actually going to use the shaft to push it in there. And I'll pull the shaft back out. Now I've got the shield stuck on there. It's a really thin, clear plastic shield. Okay. Then you can put the pinion back in from the bottom, because the gear goes towards the inside of the housing. And it slipped out on me again, because, you know, why not? Yeah, let's see what I got. I can gently push it down in there with. Okay. A little bit of grease where these two set screws go, because they got to go in next. Or this thing's just going to keep flipping around. The short set screw goes on the shorter side. make sure you keep everything over top of a tray if you're working on a tray, because these parts are small, and they're all round. When they hit the floor, they're gone. So you'll take that in and you'll tighten it down. It'll go against that bearing. Now that bearing's held in place. Now you can come around here on the longer set screw. Will go on the longer side, which also happens to be the bell trip. And you'll tighten it all the way down till it engages the bearing, holds bearing in place. Right there it is. So we got that, okay? Yeah, okay. Let's fix that so it doesn't fall apart anymore. That hole right there is where that small little, I'd call it a Woodruff key, but it's really a pin. We're going to put that back in place. Do not lose this. I've lost these before. Good luck. They are hard to find. When you do find one, you'll pay $10 for that little booger. You will not be liking yourself too much. Go ahead and grease that up. Now you gotta, okay, I got ahead of myself. That shield goes in there. There's a plastic shield. Okay, goes in like that. And then you've got a slot in your rotor, lines up with that key. And it'll go in just like that. Then you can put your nut on. Probably reverse thread. I can't remember now. I took it loose a couple days ago. I've done a bunch of these over the years, but you know, no, it's standard thread, so we're good there. You'll know if you got that keyway in there or not, because it won't even come close to getting down flush, and the rotor will just spin in your hands. The noise, the swirling you hear is that plastic shield, the black plastic shield, not the clear one. That's pretty typical. You know, it's there to shield the salt water off the reel. All right, next thing is the piece that was broken will go on right here. And I always forget these dang things. I get this reel all the way together and realize, oh crap, I left the planetary, or the orbital gear. Goes on there like that. Your main gear shaft, excuse me folks. Now you want your anti-reverse pawl cut off so it's away from the gear. I don't put any lubricant on there because I like to hear the loud click. I love the loud click. I do oil this shaft. There was no shims on this. You put it up in there, when you flip that lever the other way, it'll click. Okay? Now, you can oil and grease this if you want to. I put a lot of oil in there. It's made so when you tighten this down, there's a felt in there, and that felt absorbs this oil and pushes this oil out in that shaft. Smart. I mean, these people are smart, you know. Well, it'll take all the patience I got today probably, but we'll get it. I need to oil this handle a little bit better. I just kind of got it thrown together right now to throw it together. We'll tighten that down. Okay. We'll oil the handle. Love these big round positive grip handles they got on these things. So if your reel is over here, you know, you're okay. Clickety click. Love it. Now we're going to grease this gear up. We'll go put some oil in a couple of pivotal places in there. Goodness gracious, I can't talk. Cold's got me. It's got me good. Weather keeps changing. We go from 70 to 35, back to 70. It's like a freaking speed zone or something around here. All right, let's give it a little bit of oil right here. Okay. And a little bit of grease in those screw holes. This reel's in beautiful shape. Just been mishandled a couple of ways, but it's in beautiful shape otherwise. Now, put you some grease on the ring there, because it spins around inside this gear. I checked this gear, and yeah, I checked the gear and that are supposed to be the same part number between the two reels. I'm not sure how that works, but it's what it says it is. So I know they have a different gear ratio. Okay, we'll put that on there and go ahead and tighten down your 4 countersunk screws. The countersunks go on this side. Let's see if I've got the right screwdriver here. Yeah, that'll work. You ain't got to crank these things down super tight, folks. Just get them snug. We're not torquing lug nuts on a Mack truck. Think about the next guy that's got to take this stuff apart. The next guy might be you, or gal might be you. So don't over tighten stuff, okay? There's no sense in it. Okay. So far, so good. Nice. Excuse me. Next thing goes in is I guess it's the sun gear. You would call it a planetary, because it stays stationary in the middle and everything rotates around it. So we're going to call it a sun gear. You watch how it works. See how it goes? I rotate it around till it's, somewhere right in there. Now, when you switch sides with this, all that's got to go over to this side. Everything swaps sides with this particular reel. Okay. We're going to put some grease on these slides right here. We'll slide that forward and put some more grease on here. This will go in there. That's the crosswind block. Okay. Your axle shaft. Put it in from the front. And how's that work? Okay, yeah, we can do that. Oh, goodness gracious. Oil that shaft really good. I do this every time. Every time I build one of these. Every single time. This reel won't go back together like this. The reason being, if you look, this has to go in. It won't go past that. There's no way. And you can't put this in. And so I have to go back It's okay though. And take this loose. I think you can just take the screws out and slide it all back. So learn from my mistakes. Don't take the screws. Let's try it without taking the screws all the way out. Let's see if I'm right about this. I think I can just kind of pull the cover back. Because those are some rather long screws for no more than what it is here. Okay, so we got that done. Let's see if I'm right. I should be able to put the shaft in. It's already oiled. Yeah. Put this cross line block in. Okay, so one screw decided to leave the chat, and that's good. Okay, we've got these two snap rings got to go in there. Now this is be something you want to really pay attention to. You don't want to lose these little snap rings. I've had to order these before too. No fun. They just barely pop on there. And then you can kind of put everything back up into place. Just got to line that pin up. There, like that. And we still have one snap ring put back in. We're going to go ahead and tighten these 4 screws down back here. There we go. Make sure your gears are meshed. I didn't quite have a mesh, so I had to wiggle the main shaft just a little bit. Nope, I messed up. Got to take it back loose. All the way loose. So don't do as I say, do as I do. Just take those 4, just before you even put this side plate on, let me show you what to do here. And this may have been how it got broke before. Somebody else had it apart. I don't think they had it apart, put it back together right. Dang shame. Go ahead and drop those 4 screws out. We don't need those just yet. This planetary. All right. Okay. Pay attention to me here. We're going to go ahead. We're going to put this pin in to this guide back here. Okay. Go ahead and get that done before I end up losing something out of that. That pin goes in just like that. We're going to go ahead and put this clip in right here before I end up losing it. All right, we're good there. Okay. See how all that goes together. This is captured by these 2 clips. Now, over here, because I let everything fall apart, wow, don't want to come apart now. Oh no. How did I just do that? All right. Let's take this out. Man, the cohesion of that grease is pretty fucking phenomenal. Golly. All right. Sorry about the cuss words, but dang on. Alright. Let's try this. We got to put that back in. Oh, this has got to go on here. Okay. Alright. Let's try to do this without cussing this time. Sorry about that, folks. Every once in a while, the old diesel mechanic in me comes out. Okay, now we got it all this time. Now we can put the screws back in it and it will be right. At first you don't succeed, just do it 4 more times, right? Okay, here we go. And we'll test it here in just a second. Okay. Now it's all together correctly. You can crank it and you see how it steps that. Isn't that a work of art? That's beautiful stuff there. That's beautiful. And what's even more beautiful is we're almost done with this reel. So I'm going to give it a little more grease down in there. Make it all nice and happy for years to come. Don't know if this reel is going to go into my collection or if I'm going to sell it on my eBay store, the Vintage Fisherman 1. And we'll just see. Now we got that in there. This has to go in. This is your part of your bale trip. It has to go in first like that. Just let it sit there. And your cover will slide in underneath it. Just like that. And you got 4 screws. One of them, of course, goes through that bale trip. I'm going to assume it's what it is. Okay. And of course that's a port. You know, it's open there to where you can oil or grease the whole reel. I don't have to worry about that now. So you'll put that in there. It's made to use a coin with it. So we're just going to pretend that this pin wrench is a coin and put it in there and it'll just pop right in place like that. Love it. Love the clicking. All right, let's give it a little bit of grease right here and thread this down on there. Whoops. Now you can get a, here's how I usually take them on and off. I'll just take a adjustable wrench and put on. This goes on. No, it don't go on there. That's where it showed it in the schematic. Interesting. It may have gone underneath this handle, but I kind of doubt it. It goes on there. I believe it goes on the handle. Let's take the handle off and look at it. No, I don't think it would go on the handle. Came off of this reel, so it's got to go back on it somewhere. Don't remember it being on the inside of the reel anywhere. So I'm going to have to go back and look at the schematics and make sure that everything feels nice and tight. I want to say it's on this drag somewhere. It showed it being up under there. Oh, you know what? It is up under there. It's up under this. Yeah, grief. Pretty sure. No, that can't be right. Well, yeah, or is it? No, that wouldn't be right. Well, John. Okay. I'll figure it out. I am going to take a new Q-tip. Give it some WD-40. So I did not clean this part, but I am going to lubricate anywhere it could possibly get corrosion. Up in here and up in here. Okay. And it will go on just like that. Now, how I know this for a fact, 'cause I did go back and check this. Takes a Teflon eared washer, brass eared washer, keyed washer, eared washer. Yes, these are brass on brass drags. Keyed washer. Toothed washer, which is also keyed. And this very oddly shaped washer with the curve going down. Then it gets this stepped shouldered washer, then another keyed washer, which is not going on right. Not sure why. Interesting. All right, put the spring on there. This will go down till it kind of fits flush with that. And you get this concave washer, I guess you could call it, right there. I need to put a little bit of grease in the very end of that. Oh, that didn't work out so well, did it? All right. This will go on like that. And then the screw, and then I have no idea where that other washer went. I have to figure that out. I've left it off of it somewhere. Somebody out there that's built a couple of these probably saying, John, it goes here, it goes there, or whatever. So. It goes on that drag somewhere, but I'll have to look it up. Drag seems to be fine. Okay, I had to cut away because I had to use my phone to see where that beveled washer went. I was able to find it. I was right. It went on the axle shaft. Just wasn't where I was trying to put it. So anyway, I got it back on there. Just, it was pretty simple. I took the spool off, took the nut off, and put the beveled washer right underneath there. Just one of those things, sometimes you just got to go back and second guess yourself. So look at that. Let's try the bell flip. The bell's just a little wiggly. But if I tighten down anymore, the roller's not going to work. It's just a flaw of this type of reel. It'll be alright. Cut the anti-reverse off. Well, there it is. It's a beautiful reel. It does have a little small chip out of the reel foot. Serial number 1. Gosh, what is that? Hold on a minute. My eyes aren't that good anymore. Wow. Okay, 1316378. If anybody has a clue when that thing was made, let me know. Nice old reel. I'd almost fish with it. Throw some line on it and go to surf. Nice. Very smooth. All original. I had to replace one part in it, so we'll fix everything else. This is John, Vintage Fisherman. Thanks for watching, putting up with my cold these last couple videos. I'm gonna take a few days off. Try to get myself back healthy again. It's gonna be a cold weekend here in Virginia, so I doubt I'll get out fishing this weekend, but I definitely will next weekend. So y'all please like the video, subscribe to my channel. I will be back, and with a clearer voice and a clearer head next time. Thanks for watching.